2 words, said so often you stopped counting who said them. Too much. People assume it describes your volume. It describes their tolerance instead, honestly. You remember the exact moment you first started shrinking to fit inside it. What did you lose learning to fit a room built too small? Tonight, we answer it. Start with the moment itself. You laughed too loud at a family dinner once, or cried too hard at a funeral, or loved someone too openly too soon. And someone, a teacher, a boyfriend, your own mother, said the 2 words back. Like a verdict, not said in anger usually, said with a small wince. As if your feeling had personally inconvenienced them, nobody explained the correct amount. They only made clear you had exceeded it. Go back to where this started. Because the phrase found you early, you felt things at full volume before anything else. Joy arrived as shouting, grief arrived as collapse, curiosity arrived as 40 questions straight. Adults around you had been trained to keep every emotion at a manageable simmer. Then you showed up feeling everything at a rolling boil, and the room did not know what to do. So the room did the only thing it knew. It handed you a smaller container. And told you to fit. There is a particular scene many women carry from those years. A birthday party, a school assembly, some ordinary gathering where restraint got forgotten for a moment. You spun in a circle because the joy demanded it. Sobbed openly when a pet died. Instead of composing your face first, you watched an adult's warmth shift to something managing. That shift became the entire education. You did not need it explained twice, ever. Some children learn the alphabet by repetition. You learned acceptable feeling the same way. Through trial, through wincing faces, through 100 small corrections delivered as concern. This is where the shrinking began, quietly, one correction at a time, entirely. You learned to laugh at 60% volume. You learned to cry in the bathroom. Instead of the living room, you learned to love people with a held breath. Always ready to pull back the moment your feeling looked like it might embarrass someone. Nobody sat you down and taught you this directly. You built it watching what got rewarded. And what got the wince, then adjusting yourself until the wince stopped coming, entirely. Watch how this shows up in the woman you became. You still apologize after strong opinions. Even ones you were right about, you still catch yourself mid-laugh in public. And pull it down a notch, checking the room before finishing the sound, always. You have an entire private vocabulary of self-editing. Sorry, I get intense about this. I know I am a lot sometimes. You say these things so often, unnoticed. You stopped noticing you were still performing the same apology decades after anyone demanded it. There is a specific pattern many women recognize in their own friendships, honestly named. You learned exactly how much enthusiasm each friend could absorb before her face managed it. One friend got the full story of a good day. Another got the edited version. You kept a private ledger of everyone's tolerance level, updated constantly, checked before every talk. And the labor of maintaining it never once felt like labor, done since childhood. Name the cost honestly. Because there was one, you dated men who wanted your intensity. In bed and resented it at the dinner table, you tried to be 2 sizes. For the same relationship, you built friendships measuring exactly how much each person could tolerate. Then delivered precisely that amount and no more, exhausting yourself keeping the measurements straight. You sat through your own excitement about things you loved, watching for the signal to stop, and stopping before anyone actually asked you to. The tragedy was never your size. It was that you spent decades answering a complaint nobody had the courage to finish. There is a particular kind of exhaustion this produces, one worth naming plainly. The exhaustion of translation, not the feeling itself, the constant real-time conversion of it. You have done this so continuously you sometimes cannot locate the original feeling underneath. Someone asks how you really feel, and you notice a half-second delay before answering. The same half-second a translator needs before speaking the next language, practiced, quiet. That delay is not confusion, it is decades of practiced conversion, running smoothly, unnoticed. There is a quieter cost too, You started to wonder if the criticism was accurate. Whether you really were built wrong, sized incorrectly, made for a smaller life entirely than the one you kept accidentally overflowing. That doubt followed you into empty rooms, where nobody had said a word against you, because the wince lived in your own head. You had become fluent in delivering it to yourself before anyone else got the chance. But look at what your size actually is, examined honestly instead of apologetically, now. The same volume called too much at the funeral made you the friend people call at 2 in the morning, because your feelings are real enough theirs feel safe beside them. The same intensity that scared off men looking for something easy built deeper relationships. With the ones who stayed, that went further than anything careful people ever build. You were never too much for love. You were too much for a smaller kind. There is a version of this that plays out in the workplace too, quieter. You learned to deliver a strong idea wrapped in 3 qualifiers: softened, careful. You watched male colleagues raise their voices in meetings and get called passionate, while your own raised voice got called a warning sign whispered later in the hallway. You noticed the double standard decades ago and filed it away without a word. Because pointing it out required a size of reaction the room already told you it could not hold. Here is the part almost nobody says to you directly: too much measures the room. Not you. A teaspoon calls the ocean too much. The ocean is not wrong. The teaspoon was never built to hold what it was looking at, honestly stated. You spent your whole life shrinking into containers, never sized for you at all. And every time you succeeded, you lost the exact thing worth knowing about you. There is one more thing worth saying plainly. It changes how the whole story reads. Somewhere in your 50s, if you are lucky, you notice a strange thing happening. A younger woman does something loud and unguarded, laughs too hard, cries too openly. And instead of the old wince rising in you, something else rises instead: recognition. Maybe even relief. You find yourself wanting to protect that largeness rather than correct it. And in wanting that, you finally understand what should have been offered to you decades ago, and never was. Notice too what happens when someone finally holds the full size. A friend who sits with your loud grief instead of flinching from it, fully. A partner who watches you cry hard and does not reach for a tissue to stop it. Something in you braced for decades finally exhales, and the relief is disorienting. Real. You had forgotten a feeling could simply exist in a room unmanaged, unmeasured, whole. You are allowed to stop measuring yourself against rooms too small to hold you. You are allowed to laugh at full volume in a restaurant, letting the sound land. You are allowed to feel a feeling completely without checking anyone's face first. The people who called you too much were describing their own limits, not your size. You do not have to keep apologizing for a capacity you never chose to build.